I had a friend about 2 years ago. True story. Now, for the sake of his privacy, we'll call him Ben. Now, Ben had been in this long-term relationship with this sweet girl. We'll call her Delilah. And Ben was awesome to her. I mean, he's always genuinely been just a good guy. I could go on for the next 10 minutes talking about how awesome this dude Ben is. Anyways, he ends up dedicating 7 years of his life to this girl Delilah. And during these 7 years, he keeps telling her, hey, I want to marry you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. But Delilah, she just keeps on coming up with these excuses. I just feel like we're maybe a little bit too young. But Ben, he just can't take it anymore. He wants to marry her. So what does he do? He ends up taking her out one night for a nice romantic dinner, actually for their 7-year anniversary. And what does he decide to do? He decides to get down on one knee and pop the question, will you marry me? All of a sudden, she gasps and she looks around the room. She sees a crowd of people all staring at her. So obviously she feels pressured to say yes. So she says yes, even though deep down inside, she don't want this. Everyone around them starts cheering, and Ben, he can't help it. He just is cheesing it. He's got this big old smile on his face. He grabs her, he starts kissing all over her. His dream of marrying the love of his life is literally coming true. But for her, fear starts setting in. All of a sudden, once everybody stops cheering and they start going back, minding their own business, she whispers to him, she says, I don't want this. What are you doing? He's confused. He's like, wait, you literally just said yes, that you would marry me. I know, because I didn't want to embarrass you, she said. And his heart now at this point is just completely broken. She says to him, I gotta go. I need time to think this over. Now, one thing I didn't mention about Delilah was during this whole last year or so of her dating Ben, she had been also living this kind of separate little secret lifestyle. See, she had gotten this super fancy, high-paying job at this club that exposed her to a whole new world of people, of men, of rich men who live these extravagant lifestyles. And so during that whole last year or so of her being with Ben, she found herself spending more time with them, with these rich, fancy men, rather than with Ben. And now, as a result, the idea of getting married to Ben just kind of seems boring, kind of seems mundane. Because Ben, he's not no super rich, high-profile dude. He's not as successful and living this wild, flashy lifestyle like these other dudes are at her work. So, long story short, Delilah decides to call it quits. She breaks his heart, and she decides that she wants to now go out and pursue these rich men. These men who have all the money, all the wealth, the cars, the success. Fast forward a couple years goes by. Guess what happens? After being tossed around from man to man, treated like a piece of meat, Delilah calls up Ben on his cell phone, crying, begging for him back. She said, I'm so sorry. I made such a huge mistake. Please take me back. His reply to her, I'm sorry. He says, I've fallen in love with someone else. She's the love of my life, and hey, I wish you all the best. See, even though my friend Ben, he got his heart broken just a couple years prior, he met a new woman who can't wait to marry him, who can't wait to have his babies. And now Delilah's here crying, begging, saying, please, can you just take me back? I'll marry you tomorrow. I'll start a family with you right away. Please, please, please. Moral of the story, hey, you know what? Sometimes nice guys who just have good, nice, genuine hearts, yeah, sometimes you know what? They do finish last. And that finale is glorious. And that right there is basically number one in a nutshell. Constant warmth and kindness. Now, I know that's kind of like a little boring goody two-shoes tip that you don't want to hear, but hey, it's straight facts. The sad reality is that this whole friend zone concept that everyone talks about, even including me, I've talked about it before here on this channel, because of that, so many people think that romance and friendship, that those are two drastically different things when they shouldn't be. They should actually go hand in hand. Dudes think, oh, if I'm too nice or if I give too much kindness away, that I'll be friend zoned. And it's like, no, you'll be friend zoned if you're all just one-sided, if you're all just good guy, nice guy, giving kindness and warmth, but then lacking that daddy, king-like energy. And honestly, my friend Ben, who we were just talking about, I didn't tell you this, but that was one of the main reasons why Delilah wanted to leave him. It was simply because of the fact that, he was kind, he was generous, he was warm, affectionate, but he lacked that daddy energy. He had no direction, he had no focus, no drive. There was no part of him that was exuding top G energy. So you can't just point the finger and only blame her. Like, he did play a small part in this. Not excusing her behavior, but of course, once she started seeing this whole new world of guys, of successful, rich men, I mean, yeah, they were douchebags, but they did have that single thing that Ben was lacking, and that was that high-value man presence. However, obviously, that wasn't enough either, because, she soon quickly realized that even though these guys are rich and they, they're all top G's, well, they suck, and they treat me bad, she thought to herself, and she soon quickly realized that, having a nice guy boyfriend, okay, well, maybe that wasn't so bad. And so what does? She tries guys going back, getting them, but obviously it's way too late. This is why I tell you guys so many times, like, yes, of course, build yourself into a top G, right? But also never neglect warmth and kindness. This has to be the core that you then build everything else on top of. So you have that foundation of just true friendship that most couples lack. And see, that's the thing right there, is that most divorces, most breakups aren't due to a lack of love. It's due to a lack of friendship. Because let's face it, hey, looks, appearance, your money, your possessions, all those materialistic, superficial things, they get familiar. I mean, for instance, my wife and I, yeah, we're still super attracted to each other, of course, right? My wife's a straight 10 out of 10, so that attraction will never go away, but at the same time, it does get familiar. Like when I first met her, oh my gosh, her beauty was just so radiant and so overpowering that I would get so nervous, right? And it'd be hard for me to even talk, to even get out words. I was stumbling over the things that I would say, right? But at the same time, you know, we're still obviously googly-eyed after each other, right? And you know, how do you get like that? How do you build up a relationship that's that strong even after all these years? My wife and I have been together for almost 10 years. I mean, if you count dating plus marriage. It's that constant warmth and kindness that we're freely offering and giving to each other unconditionally. I mean, if I'm constantly giving that to her, why would she ever even think about wanting to leave me? It just doesn't even make sense. And so a lot of couples go into these relationships thinking that romance and friendship should be two separately different things, different entities. And rather than thinking, oh wow, dude, you know, she's my best friend. She's beautiful on the inside and out, and I want to spend the rest of my life treating her like a queen and enjoying her presence and building a family with her, having kids with her. Rather than thinking that, they think, oh dude, she's just so hot, bro. Like, you know, I want to be with her. And then once things eventually become familiar, then these couples think to themselves, well, you know, where did all the spice go? Well, I guess we don't love each other anymore. I guess we just grew apart. So all in all, hey, all these YouTubers, all these influencers and gurus telling you that you need to become a top G first and just focus on that. I mean, yes, true, but even before all that, learn to exude warmth and kindness, so that way when you go into a relationship, you can build that friendship. And hey, if you get with a girl that doesn't appreciate your kindness, that doesn't appreciate your warmth and generosity, and she decides to break up with you, or better yet, put you in the friend zone, right? Then hey, cool, you dodged a bullet. And you quickly realize that, hey, you guys are not compatible. Number 2, be authentic early on. Now, this is such good advice, bro, and hear me out. Now, many people will disagree with me on this. This is very controversial advice. See, most men, when they go out there into the dating world, they put on this persona and they think to themselves, all right, man, well, okay, it's time to be Mr. Seducer. It's time to turn it on. It's time to show her who's the man, right? They try to act a certain way. They try to be sexy, be seductive. They pretend like they're some baller, some hot shot, just to try to get the girl. That's all they're focused on, is just trying to get her to like me. So they try all these tactics. They try to do all these things, say these perfect lines, ultimately be somebody that they're not. I mean, yeah, if you're looking just to hook up with some random chicks, then obviously, yeah, don't be you at all. Totally fake it, bro. Be somebody that you're not. But if you're actually looking for a wife, which a wife is someone who, I don't mean to sound so explicit, but a wife isn't just some random cum bucket that fulfills all your fantasies. No, a wife is here to contribute, to be helpful to you. So if that's the route that you want to go, if you want to find somebody that's going to build a beautiful, amazing life with you, then authenticity is the way to go. When I was first dating Bria, actually, I remember I did things pretty perfectly. I don't mean to toot my own horn or anything like that, but because I was just being my true, authentic self, this really helped me out. Now, don't get me wrong, in the very initial beginning, when like we were all hanging out as friends, like her friends, my friends type of thing, I did take some like bad advice. You know, one of my friends was saying, oh, don't even act like you like her, don't show that you have any feelings towards her. But as soon as I finally took Bria out on that first date, just her and me alone, I quickly got rid of all that, and I was just me. And the great thing about that is that it helped me realize right away that, yeah, we are compatible, because she just liked me for who I was. And that's the thing right there, is that you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. I remember on that first date, like by the end of the night, it's kind of cringe, but I told her, I was like, hey, I think you're the most beautiful person inside and out that I've ever met. And I remember I told her, I said, I think you're an angel, right? I was like 21 at the time. And I remember I told her, this is the best date that I've ever been on, and you know, I would love to take her out again. And see, most guys would be like, oh bro, no, what are you doing? Like, you're coming on way too strong, bro. And it's like, yeah, if I would have said these things to just some random degenerate chick in the club, of course she would look at me like I'm a freaking lunatic, bro. And then obviously right there, that's how I know, you know, she's not compatible with me. We're not right for each other, obviously. And see, that's what authenticity does, is that it quickly shows you who's right for you, who's good for you, and who's not. And so that's why, hey, if you guys are going out on a lot of dates and you're being your most authentic self, but things aren't just really working out with all these chicks, hey, don't get like too down and out about it, because it's just getting rid of all the ones that are not good for you. It's helping you dodge all those bullets, right? And it's also kind of funny because right away, I think it was on date 2, I told Brie, I said, hey, I'm a virgin. And I was just honest with her. And I know most guys would be like, what, Dre? Like, oh, that's so cringe, bro. Like, what are you doing, right? But it's like, no, dude, I'm just being my authentic self. I'm just being true. I'm being real. I'm being genuine. See, I'd rather get just all that stuff out of the way and just get straight to the point, her to know exactly who I am and for me to know exactly who she is, so we don't have to waste time. We don't have to get through all the fake stuff first and then later, 6 months down the road, then finally realize, oh, this is who you really are. Okay. I'd rather just get straight to the point and just see if we're compatible, see if she just likes me for me. And this right here is honestly why, I mean, so many people, especially in the very beginning, were like, you know, because I married Brie fairly quickly, and they're like, what, you're already marrying her? And aren't you guys a little too young? And this, and that. And they don't realize that because we got married so quick and we just got straight to the point, the reason for that was because we were just authentic with each other. We fell in love right away. I mean, within that first month, Brie already told me that she loved me and that she wanted to marry me. This was back in 2015. And that's what authenticity does. It speeds up the process. It doesn't waste time. So always be authentic, even if it's someone that you're not compatible with, because it'll just reveal that to you more quicker, so that way you don't have to spend 6 months to a year dating someone, being with someone, giving your life and dedicating all your time and attention to them. And then at the end of all those months, at the end of that year or two, then they're like, oh, I guess you weren't really who I thought you were, right? And then they dump you. It's like, nah, dude, just skip all that. Just get straight to the point and see whether you're compatible or not by being your most authentic self. And if you're not, then hey, then you can dodge that bullet. You can keep dodging all these bullets until you just get to that right one that you are compatible with. It's funny because just real quick, in the very beginning when I was first dating Brie and everybody was telling me, hey, don't be too honest, you know, don't be too authentic. It's funny because if I didn't do that, then I wouldn't have gotten her. She wouldn't have realized that we're compatible because she would have seen this other version of myself that isn't even real, and she wouldn't have been attracted to that version. What she got attracted to was my authentic self. And see, that's the thing right there. If you are not your most authentic self in the very beginning, then the girl that you are most compatible with won't be attracted to you. Makes sense. And the final one, number 3, be your best self. Now, just because I tell you to be your most authentic self doesn't mean, okay, well, I'm a very lazy guy, so I'm gonna show that to her right away. I'm gonna show her just how lazy I am. Obviously, I don't mean that. What I'm trying to say here is before you even go out there and date girls, hey, become your best self first. Work on the fundamentals, become mentally strong, physically strong, work on becoming disciplined, becoming kind, develop leadership skills, become the man that God wants you to be first, and then showcase that. That right there is what I mean by being your most authentic self. Because even if you are lazy right now, even if you are kind of degenerate, you got all these addictions, all these things that you're, you know, trying to overcome, even if you are that guy right now, you're at the very low end of the totem pole, even this is not your most authentic self, bro. Your most authentic self is the version that God wants you to become. So that's why work on that first. Become the man that God is calling you to become, and then present that to the world. Present that to a woman. You can't be your most authentic self. You can't, what the world likes to always say, do you. You can't do you until you build you. So hey, with that said, appreciate you for watching. Please give this video a nice big thumbs up. Hit the notifications button to be informed when I drop a new one, and check out this video right here. It's powerful. It'll catapult your life to the next level. And I'll catch you on the next vid. Peace always.